Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 20, The Dynasty of Puru, text number 16. Om iti ukte yatha dharmam. Om ityukte yatha dharmam. Upayeme Shakuntalam. Upayeme Shakuntalam. Gandharva Vidhina Raja. Gandharva Vidhina Raja. Desha Kala Vidhanavet. Desha Kala Vidhanavet. Om ityukte yatha dharmam. Upayeme Shakuntalam. Gandharva Vidhina Raja. Desha Kala Vidhanavet. Om ityukte yatha dharmam. Upayeme Shakuntalam. Gandharva Vidhina Raja. Desha Kala Vidhanavet. Om ityukte yatha dharmam. Upayeme Shakuntalam. Gandharva Vidhina Raja. Desha Kala Vidhanavet. Om ityukte yatha dharmam. Upayeme Shakuntalam. Gandharva Vidhina Raja. Desha Kala Vidhanavet. Om iti ukte. By reciting the Vedic Pranava, invoking the Supreme Personality of Godhead to witness the marriage, yatha dharmam, exactly according to the principles of religion, because Narayana becomes the witness in an ordinary religious marriage also. Upayeme, he married Shakuntalam, the girl Shakuntala. Gandharva Vidhina, by the regulative principle of the Gandharvas, without deviation from religious principles. Raja Maharaja Dushmanta. Desha Kala Vidhanavet, completely aware of duties according to time. position and objective. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. When Shakuntala responded to Maharaj Dushmanta's proposal with silence, the agreement was complete. Then the king, who knew the laws of marriage, immediately married her by chanting the Vedic Pranava, Omkara, in accordance with the marriage ceremony as performed among the Gandharvas. Please repeat this translation after me. When Shakuntala responded to Maharaj Dushmanta's proposal with silence, the agreement was complete. Then the king, who knew the laws of marriage, immediately married her by chanting the Vedic Pranava, Omkara, in accordance with the marriage ceremony as performed among the Gandharvas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Omkara Pranava is the Supreme Personality of Godhead represented by letters. Bhagavad Gita says that the letters A, U, Ma combined together as Om represents the Supreme Lord. Religious principles are meant to invoke the blessings and mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita that he is personally present in sexual desires that are not contrary to religious principles. The word vidhina means according to religious principles. The association of the men and women according to religious principles is allowed in the Vedic culture. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we allow marriage on the basis of religious principles. But the sexual combination of men and women as friends is irreligious and is not allowed. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvichesha Shunyavadi Pashatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Bhagavatam is describing this extraordinary event that the king Dushmanta, he went on a hunting expedition to the forest. It is described in the scriptures that Kshatriyas have to maintain their skill for fighting by going to the forest and hunting wild animals. So he happened to come across this beautiful girl, Shakuntala, sitting all alone in the forest. And he inquired from her about her identity. And she explained that she is the daughter of Vishwamitra and Menaka. And they have left her in the forest. And she was picked up by Kanva Muni. And Kanva Muni has protected her, raised her. So when Dushmanta understood that she is the daughter of the great sage Vishwamitra, immediately he proposed to her, understanding that she is not yet married. So when he proposed, it is described here, she responded to the proposal with silence, which means she was agreeable for the marriage. Then the king, who knew the laws of marriage, immediately married her by chanting the Vedic pranava, Omkara. So this Om is a transcendental sound which is the beginning of this entire creation. It's such a powerful vibration. It's a transcendental sound. But for us to chant that Om in such a way that we are able to utilize the spiritual potency of that sound is possible only if we chant according to the rules and regulations. Sometimes people take up this chanting of Om without observing the rules and regulations. Then the chanting is not effective. So if we want the chanting to be effective, we have to chant following the scriptural directions, the rules and regulations. So this king Dushmanta, he was a trained Kshatriya. So he knew the religious principles. So he married the Shakuntala according to the religious principles as mentioned for a Gandharva marriage. Gandharva marriage means marriage by agreement between the two persons, the man and the woman. But this is generally allowed only for somebody who is qualified, exceptionally qualified, not just qualified. Just like the king, he is the emperor of the whole world. So we cannot have any doubt about his qualification. He's ruling the whole world. And Shakuntala, she is exceptionally qualified because she is the daughter of the great sage Vishwamitra. Not only she is born in a very, very exalted, born to exalted parents, but she is also protected and raised by another great sage, Kanva Muni. So she is also exceptionally qualified. So under such exceptional circumstances, such a Gandharva marriage is allowed. Because there are 8 kinds of marriages sanctioned in the scriptures, of which the first class or the topmost system of marriage is when the parents of the boy and girl, they arrange the marriage of their son and daughter, respective son and daughter. That is first class marriage. and all other 7 other systems are exceptions. That means for the common people, there is only one system that is sanctioned in the scriptures. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, the Omkara Pranava is a supreme personality of Godhead represented by letters. This is very important to understand, that the Supreme Lord has many different forms. So in the form of sound, he is present as the sound of Om. So when we say Om, this sound is actually Sakshat Krishna. And Krishna explains this in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 7th chapter, 8th verse, he says, Pranavas sarva vedeshu. I am the syllable Om in all the Vedic mantras. All the Vedic mantras begin with this Om. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayaha. The famous Rig mantra, offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu. So it begins with Om. Even when people offer respects to the Devatas, the famous Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, it is offering obeisances to whom? To Lord Shiva. But it begins with Om. So the scriptures explain all the Devatas, they are empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So they are powerful because of being granted that power. Krishna's own power, he gives a portion of it to the Devatas. So if Shiva is very powerful in the estimation of the others in this material world, then Shiva's power is given by Krishna. Every Devata, not only Devata, every living being in this material world is empowered by Krishna. But the difference is, Krishna's power is unlimited and the power of everyone else is limited. So we can never compare the power of Krishna with anybody else's power. Sometimes people argue that, oh, Shiva is very powerful, or some Ganesha is very powerful. But what is the source of his power? That is very important. That is very confidential knowledge. That's not easily available. These demigod worshippers, they do not have this confidential knowledge, because of which they consider the Devata as the supreme, as God, as all powerful. But actually, all powerful, there is only one person, Krishna. And he is all powerful does not mean that he has the sum total of all power, but actually his power is unlimited. His power is unlimited. Ananta Shakti. Unlimited power. So, Krishna just summarizes this in this verse. Pranavas sarva vedeshu. I am the Om, syllable Om in all the Vedic mantras. So when somebody chants a Vedic mantra and derives any benefit out of the chanting, it is because of the presence of Krishna as Om in the Vedic mantra. So without Vedic mantra, without chanting Om according to the Vedic mantra, the chanting will be ineffective. But Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that this chanting of Om, which is actually Krishna only, has to be done according to certain rules. One of the rules is that one has to chant following the rules of celibacy, brahmacharya. Whereas chanting Hare Krishna is also sound representation of Krishna. But chanting Hare Krishna does not require that you follow the rule of maintaining celibacy. No. It is not just for those who are following brahmacharya. It's for everyone. And further, there are no hard and fast rules for chanting Hare Krishna. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, the sound Hare Krishna actually includes Om. Hare Krishna includes Om. So therefore, in this Kali Yuga, it is particularly recommended that we chant the Hare Krishna mantra and not any other mantra. Harer Nama Harer Kevalam Kalau Nastyaiva Gatiranyatha. Then the next point is that this king, Dushmanta, in marrying Shakuntala, he was following the religious principles. So Srila Prabhupada explains what is the meaning of following religious principles. Religious principles are meant to invoke the blessings and mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita that he is personally present in sexual desires that are not contrary to religious principles. So Krishna says, Dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshambha. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. That means, if somebody follows the religious principles, then the combination of the man and woman is according to dharma. It is sanctioned by the scriptures. So later on there will be a description in the later verses how Dushmanta just one night he stayed with her and he impregnated her and went away to his capital. But the result of that combination was that a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as the son of Dushmanta and Shakuntala, who later on became the famous Bharat Maharaj, who ruled the whole world perfectly according to all religious principles. And after him, this earth planet became known as Bharatavarsha. So, because Dushmanta followed the religious principles, the combination was a successful, resulted in, gave a successful result, that such a powerful personality, a partial incarnation of the Supreme Lord appeared by that combination. So we should learn the lesson that we cannot imitate great personalities who are empowered and they strictly follow the religious principles in whatever actions they do. And regarding marriage, following the scriptural injunctions, the Bhagavatam says in the 11th canto, Loke vyavaya amisha madhya seva nityahi jantor nahi tatra chodana vyavasthitisteshu vivaha yajna suragrahair asu nivrittir ishta. The meaning of this verse in the 11th canto is that in this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meat eating, and intoxication. Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such activities. Religious scriptures don't encourage these activities. Although the scriptural injunctions provide for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offerings, and for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine, such ceremonies are meant for the ultimate purpose of renunciation. This last portion people miss out. Even if they claim to follow the scriptural directions, particularly those who indulge in meat eating and intoxication, in the name of following scriptural injunctions, they unrestrictedly indulge in sense enjoyment. But that is never the intent of the scriptures. All such ceremonies have got the purpose of ultimate renunciation. Because the inclination is there, in a highly restricted way, these things are allowed. So, the scriptures also say, even though sex is allowed through marriage, but the purpose of sex is to produce Krishna conscious progeny. Krishna conscious progeny. And such good progeny is possible if the combination of man and woman is according to the scriptural directions. There's something called Garbhadana Samskara, which is practically unknown in the modern age, that to produce Krishna conscious children, the parents have to combine by following this Garbhadana Samskara. It's not a mere ritual. It actually prepares the consciousness of the parents to invite or attract a Krishna conscious soul to take shelter of their combination as their child. So that is how formerly very powerful kings, they used to have very good progeny to continue the dynasty the lineage. Powerful sages, they had as their sons great personalities taking birth. Even pure devotees, they give birth to pure devotees through this system. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he prayed to the Lord that I want to have a son who can preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. And as a result of his prayer, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born as the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, like that, the scriptural injunctions, if they are followed, then the result is that ultimately very good progeny, which is required in this world for directing the common people towards the ultimate goal of life. Otherwise, the ordinary leaders, they do not know what is the goal of life. They are misleading the people, common people. Common people always require a proper leader. But to have a proper leader, there is a necessity of good progeny. So that good progeny is possible only by following the scriptural directions for begetting children. So we will see in this case, this combination of Dushmanta and Shakuntala resulted in the most powerful Bharat Maharaj appearing as the partial incarnation of the Supreme Lord as the son of Dushmanta and Shakuntala. I'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.